I want to start today by offering condolences to the family and all of the followers of MacArthur, the Southern California preacher.
On July 15th, 2025, something unexpected happened on Ben Shapiro's show. The fast-talking Orthodox Jew, known for his sharp opinions and tough political stance, paused everything to speak from his heart. The topic, not politics, not policy, but a tribute to Pastor John MacArthur, Christian leader Shapiro, deeply respected. It wasn't scripted. It wasn't for headlines. It was raw, personal, and sincere. Ben said MacArthur, Joe Logan, K.O. Bible, Keha Whale, Say Saya, Tariq Say Guide, Kart Dianka, Yana Hum Sabka, Laik Bara, Nukes High. For a man who rarely shows emotional vulnerability on air, that moment was different, and it deserves a closer look. Ben Shapiro shared something rare. The story of his first meeting with Pastor John MacArthur. According to Shapiro, MacArthur didn't hesitate to speak directly. The first time I met Pastor MacArthur, Ben recalled, he invited me to consider Christianity. I didn't take it as criticism. To me, it was friendship. He cared about my soul. That kind of statement says a lot. In a world where religious discussions often lead to offense or debate, here was a moment of connection. A Christian pastor reaching out with concern, and a Jewish commentator receiving it not as pressure, but as kindness. It was a quiet example of two people with deep convictions showing mutual respect. As Shapiro continued his tribute, he highlighted the most powerful part of MacArthur's life, his teaching. Ben admired how MacArthur never softened the message to please the public. He said things exactly as he believed them, with full conviction. His sermons weren't polished speeches. They were filled with truth, even when it was uncomfortable. Shapiro remarked, he never hid his beliefs. He always spoke what he believed. That honesty, that willingness to stand firm and forgettable. In a time when many public figures choose comfort over clarity, MacArthur's boldness stood out. He wasn't trying to impress anyone. He was trying to remain faithful to what he believed. But Ben didn't stop at words. He shared how MacArthur's actions impacted real people. He spoke of a young man who came into church feeling lost and bitter. After hearing MacArthur talk about forgiveness, that man broke down and found a new direction. Another story came from a small town where a local church, inspired by MacArthur's teachings, started feeding the hungry every week. These stories weren't grand or publicized, but they were real. They showed how MacArthur's message didn't just reach ears, it reached hearts. It didn't stop at belief. It pushed people toward love and action. What made this tribute even more surprising was who gave it. Ben Shapiro is known for quick analysis, not emotional praise. But here he went silent for a moment. He looked into the camera and said, I don't say this often, but the world lost a man who stood, who taught, and who cared. That silence said more than any sentence. It was respect, not because they shared a faith, but because they shared values, conviction, courage, and care. And when you hear that from someone like Ben, you know it's not just talk. It's genuine. There's power in comparing this moment to others. Many celebrities have given tributes over the years. Johnny Carson once honored a retiring news anchor. Joe Rogan praised a scientist for fighting online misinformation. But those moments, while touching, often felt scripted. Shapiro's words about MacArthur didn't. They came in the middle of a busy news cycle. They weren't part of a headline or a public push. They were personal. That's what makes this tribute stand out. It wasn't just respectful. It was real. And that authenticity is something rare in today's media. Ben also talked about how MacArthur treated the younger generation. He said, I saw the way he spoke to kids after service. He listened. He cared. That, to me, was the proof of his faith. That comment wasn't small. In a world where big preachers often focus on stages, MacArthur focused on people, especially the next generation. That kind of humility, kneeling down to talk to a child, listening instead of preaching, that's where true leadership shows. That's something Ben noticed. It stuck with him. It's part of why he spoke so openly after MacArthur's passing. There's something deeply human about this whole tribute. It wasn't about theology. It was about character. Shapiro didn't agree with everything MacArthur believed, but he respected the way he lived. And that's a lesson for all of us. You don't have to agree with someone to honor them. You don't have to share the same religion to appreciate someone's faith. What matters is the consistency, the integrity, the courage to stand when it's easier to sit. That's what MacArthur did. And that's why Shapiro chose to speak about him when he didn't have to. Ben's tribute also opens a door to reflection. When was the last time you honored someone different from you? When did you last speak well of someone whose beliefs challenged yours? In a culture full of division, maybe we need more moments like this. More bridges, more honest respect. Because when someone like Ben Shapiro can pause and praise someone so different from himself, it reminds us what's possible. That even in disagreement, we can find admiration, maybe even friendship. Throughout his speech, Ben stayed away from cliches. He didn't call MacArthur a hero or icon. Instead, he used plain, heartfelt words. That's what made the message hit harder. He never treated faith like politics. He treated it like life, he said. That sentence tells us everything. For MacArthur, Christianity wasn't a platform, it wasn't a performance. It was his life. Every sermon, every conversation, every decision, it came from that deep belief. And that authenticity is what people remember. Even after his passing, MacArthur's influence continues. Churches still use his sermons. Families still share his books. And people like Ben Shapiro, who don't even follow the same faith, still talk about his impact. That's legacy. That's leadership. And that's something few people achieve. Not because they're loud, because they're faithful. This moment also invites a powerful comparison. Think of other figures who shaped lives. Martin Luther, King Jr., who preached peace while the world shouted war. Mother Teresa, who loved the poor with no cameras watching. Nelson Mandela, who forgave those who jailed him. MacArthur may not be as globally famous, but in his corner of the world, he did the same thing. They all lived what they believed, and that's the thread that connects them. Quiet strength, consistent care, bold truth. What made this tribute stronger than most was the emotion underneath. At one point, Ben mentioned a woman who called into his show after hearing his words. She had just lost her father. She said, "I never met MacArthur, but he spoke to my heart." That moment took the tribute beyond religion or fame. It became personal for listeners, too. When someone can affect strangers in a lasting way, their message wasn't empty, it was real. And real things don't die, they echo. Let's also give credit to Ben for something often overlooked: humility. It takes courage to speak about someone you admired, especially from a different background. It takes even more to admit that you learned something from them. Shapiro could have said nothing, but he didn't. He honored MacArthur with honesty. And in doing so, he showed that respect matters even when the world tells you to divide. Ben Shapiro's words serve as more than just a eulogy there, a mirror for society. In an age where respect is often filtered through political alignment or religious identity, this tribute breaks that mold. It proves that admiration doesn't require agreement. It only requires honesty. When a conservative Jewish commentator can honor a Christian pastor with such warmth and sincerity, it sends a message louder than any debate ever could. Principles matter more than labels, and character can bridge the deepest divides. Another reason this moment stood out was its timing. In today's media landscape, everything feels loud, fast, and forgettable. Yet Shapiro chose to slow down, to speak clearly, to remember someone who wasn't trending but who truly mattered. That pause, intentional, meaningful, gave his words more weight than any viral clip, and it reminded viewers that behind every public figure, there's a real person with real influence, and behind every tribute, there should be truth. So what does this mean for you and me? Maybe it's a challenge, a reminder, a nudge to stop seeing people through the lens of us versus them. Maybe it's a call to notice character, not just labels. Maybe it's time to ask, who do I respect even if I don't agree with them? What am I doing to show that respect? In the end, Ben Shapiro's tribute wasn't really about MacArthur alone. It was about something bigger, about standing up for people who stand for something, about crossing lines not to fight, but to listen, about valuing truth, courage, and kindness wherever they come from. Shapiro said MacArthur never changed his message to please the world. Maybe that's what we need more of today. People who live what they believe, who speak from conviction, and who love without needing attention. Now, the question is for you. What do you take from this moment? Does it change how you view people of different beliefs? Are you willing to respect someone, even when you disagree? And most importantly, when your time comes, will people remember your faith the way Ben remembered? John's. Because maybe, just maybe, legacy isn't built on agreement. It's built on truth, care, and how you treat those who don't walk the same path.